So we must return to Christianity. But what I realize is that our country, America, is at the mercy of black people today, radical blacks. It's just out of control. They have allowed the blacks to cry racism for the last 70 to 80 years. And because of not pushing back, the radical blacks and the white liberals are just literally out of control. The crime and the attack upon whites and Asians and others by the blacks is crazy. During the so-called civil rights movement, which the civil rights movement should have never happened at all. But during the civil rights movement, when they started to cry this phony idea of racism, and the whites didn't speak out against it, they didn't say, no, that's not true. It has nothing to do with racism at all, but it's right or wrong, good versus evil. And so that been pushed and pushed by the radical black leadership and the radical liberal whites and the right-o Republicans. And now this country is literally subject to radical blacks. They have put the radical blacks in control of government, schools, homes, and businesses, and all hell is breaking loose. And people are afraid. The whites are afraid to fight back because they don't want to be called racist, first of all, but secondly, they don't want to end up going to jail for defending themselves. And you don't hear a whole bunch of people talking about how radical and destructive the blacks are because they need the blacks to be that way in America in order to take away our freedom of speech, the Second Amendment, and other constitutional rights that we have in this country. That's why they let them out of prison. They got rid of bail bond. What's weird, though, is that the blacks are supposed to be like human beings, too. And they don't care about anything. They have no shame about being wrong. You know, at some point, human beings would think, you know what? Let me try to get my stuff together. And even the blacks are not denouncing each other. The Christians, so-called Christian blacks or others. It is the craziest thing I've ever seen. And now the United States of America is subject to the radical blacks. Everything else is coming in as a result of that. It's not about racism, folks. It's about wrong versus right, good versus evil. It really, really is. And evil is being promoted. And the reason they can do it because they can ride on the coattails of the blacks crying racism. So the radical homosexuals, the radical lesbians, the radical women, the radical Allah Akbar people, the radical Jewish people, the radical everyone can get away with bringing on destruction now. And remember how they were carrying on about the shooting in Texas? And they still are a little bit. They carry on about those things. Like they're all hurt and emotional and sad and crying and it's just devastating. And the children. It's all phony. It's not real. According to NBC, there were at least 14 mass shootings in the U.S. over Memorial Day weekend. At least 9 people were killed with more than 60 people injured. This is from ABC. Memorial Day weekend in Chicago saw 46 people shot, 10 fatally. Watch this.
As we close in on yet another very violent weekend here in Chicago, the latest, even with the mayor and superintendent's safety plan in place, which the mayor says worked.
We planned for this weekend months ahead of time, and we made some adjustments, as we always do. The preparation seems to have borne fruit, so that's a good thing.
In all, 46 people were shot this Memorial Day weekend, 10 people killed. Compare that to last year when 32 people were shot, 3 of them were killed.
Amazing, huh? Where are the tears? Where are the hurt people? Help, President, help. We need help. Where are the tears, folks? I don't hear them. So you feel sad for some, but not for all. Your prayers goes out to some, but not for all, right? And you're putting them in charge of your country. You just put a radical black female, unqualified, affirmative action female in the highest court of the land. The government, the school teacher, the police, the city council, the whatever, the business owner, whatever, they're no different than anyone else. They were born into crazy families, mothers out of control, fathers are weak. They're angry too, and they're trying to get power and stuff to make themselves feel better. It's not going to work, but they're no different than anyone else. They're filled with hatred. They're filled with ego, the nature of the devil. They're going to take your guns, your Second Amendment away from you. They're doing it one day at a time, one incident at a time, blah, blah, blah. They're going to do it. I know it's hard to believe because I didn't believe that the country could get to where it is now. It's a mess. This is where it has come to. This is from the Daily Wire. A quote-unquote disturbing video posted on Twitter last week shows a New York City subway passenger shouting obscenity and grabbing a woman's hair as onlooker made no move to help her. Watch this.
My widow! Punk ass nigga. Mother nigga! Get up! Shut the f*** up!
Wow. It looked like a man, but they say there was a woman in the white, the black one, and she, if it was a woman, grabbed the white woman's hair and won't let her up. Everybody sitting around and looking, just another day. May God have mercy upon America. What do you think of that, Chris?
I don't think too much about it.
You don't?
No. I mean, everybody gets what they deserve. I mean, they want to live like that. I have zero sympathy for them. They do nothing about it. I don't feel bad for that woman. I don't feel bad for anybody on the train. Yeah.
Amazing.
You know, you lay with dogs, you get fleas. That's what it is.
Amazing.
I don't care about them.
You know, when I started 32 years ago, I wrote a lot about, because then it was bad for the whites. They weren't speaking up about racism. I'm like, white people, y'all need to speak up about racism. I wrote about it, talked about it 32 years ago when I first started Bond. And I thought it was bad then. But I'm like, no, y'all need to speak up, because if you don't, you bring out the worst in the blacks. They're going to only get worse. Don't give them affirmative action. Make them earn their way. That's what love is. Make them earn their way. But the whites want to speak up. I'm like, no, it's not about race. It's about the lack of character. But the whites wouldn't speak up about race. Back then, all they had to say, no, racism, it ain't about race. It's about the lack of character. It ain't about none of this stuff. We ain't giving y'all no affirmative action. You're going to have to earn your way. And it ain't going to get no better as long as you keep putting these people in your schools, in your businesses, in the government. And electing all these women ain't going to help it either. It's just going to make it worse. Amazing. And don't forget to like, follow, tweet, subscribe, and share the Jesse Lee Peterson radio show, folks. We really appreciate it. We are at war. It is a spiritual battle for the soul of America. And it's going to take all of us to do it.